they have a selection of green drake patterns, and I like this selection because it's short and specific. I think there's something to be said about brevity, simplicity, and the patterns they include are easy to tie, relatively, and they cover a variety of situations. So we start with a cripple, green drake cripple. This looks to me similar to the Quigley cripple, hair wing, wrapped hackle, and then marabou body. You could substitute that for like ostrich hurl or something. Even a stripped peacock quill would work. And then you move on to an adult, the dun hair wing. We have a tilt wing, and then the I don't know what kind of body they're using, but it looks like they have a floss rib, must be dubbed, over moose mane, moose hair. So that's a good pattern. And then, and that's a size 10 or 12. And then coming down to the carnage, this one, if you want to get a little fancier, extended body, parachute. It looks like a foam body. I don't know if I have that exact color of foam, but we'll try to work something out. And then coming down, Prince Nymph. Everybody fishes a Prince, so I've never considered it a green drake nymph. I always thought it was more of an attractor, but it makes sense. I think altering some of the sections, you could definitely do a good green drake imitation with the Prince. And moving down, we have the Tungsten Salvation, a flashier nymph, rubber legs, more happening there, and also synthetic material. So that's, I think, a good option. And that's it. I think that's a solid selection. Having these patterns in your box, you can't go wrong, especially these top two. The extended body one, I'm not so sure about that. It might be a little bit harder to tie, but we'll start with the cripple. Off we go. So we'll do size 10, 12, which is a great size. Depending on how fast these go, we might tie a couple of them. We'll get our hooks ready here. This hook is a little bit off color, but I think it'll still work. I like the softer material on the tail. I think that's a good touch. They're using marabou tips. I think I'm going to use maybe a pheasant rump hackle, something like this. The hue is nice, and then the tip is soft, so I like that. So get one of those. For the thread, I'll use this olive. This isn't a great match. I have a darker olive, but I'm a little bit lazy to change, so we'll do the lighter olive thread. And we'll time the tail fibers, then we'll do the abdomen, which is another soft material. If you wanted to simplify, you could just do dubbing. Dubbing would work fine. I'm gonna take out a section of this pheasant, and then we'll tie it in a little bit longer than normal. I'll shorten it up. Yeah, that's a good size. We'll wrap it all the way, 3/4 of the way up, just so the body is uniform. And then I was thinking a CDC stem. I have a green color CDC and never use it. And I think this would be a good body rather than wrapping the marabou. I think this would be suitable. suitable body. So we'll tie this in and draw it back to about the tip. Then we'll tie it in. Get our hackle pliers. Give it a wrap. How are we looking? We'll wrap once, and then after every wrap, give it a spin. Wrap again, give it a spin. Wrap again, give it a spin. I'm not very confident at fishing green drakes. In my experience, the blue wing olive or the pale morning dun is a more consistent hatch. I've never really experienced a full-blown green drake hatch, but I know that everybody, if you're fishing Western River, should have some green drake patterns. And then to shape the body, we just trim out that rogue CDC. And you have a nice natural taper, a floating material, and the CDC stem is pretty tough and good durable. Even if you had a few like stragglers, I don't think that would hurt. So the next step is a hair wing. We want it tilting a little bit forward. And then I would do a darker hair. I think this will be good. We'll clean up the shorts. I'm gonna adjust this a little bit. Bear with me. Slide that down a little bit. The goal is to try to keep this in focus. All right, so we have our hair. We'll clean it up. Clean up the under fur. And then we want to, there's some trashy bits in there. Try to get rid of those. I don't know if we can stack this amount. There's not much in here. Trim out the butts a bit. Give it a quick stack. Try to clean it a little better. All right. We're gonna tie pretty close to the eye, and then one wrap, getting tighter, and then we'll create a little landing area for the hackle, and then we will trim out the butts. And this is a little like a kind of wing case type thing. I don't know if it's an important feature. Then we'll gather our wing. We'll advance the thread, put a couple wraps in front to stand it up, and then travel it back to the gap. Hackle. I don't have a dyed green hackle, olive dyed grizzly hackle. I don't have one. I do have a brown dyed grizz. I think that's what we're gonna have to use. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, it's not perfect. you could do a CDC. Yeah, we'll do a CDC hackle on this. Maybe that'll match a little bit better. Putting the CDC hackle though will instantly make this much more buoyant. So if this cripple is essentially gonna fish like a dry. Some people are sensitive about how their cripples sit in the water. This one's gonna float pretty high, which I don't mind, but a purist might take offense. So we'll clip our feather, we'll trim it off, and then we will split our thread. Take our CDC and we'll place it in our split thread loop, and then we'll spin it up. So there's a touch more than you actually need, and we'll try to preen it to make it a bit more manageable, and we'll start wrapping. Nice and slow. I don't want to catch. If you can, kind of preen the fibers. I think right there is enough. But we have a lot, so we're just gonna finish. We'll end up cleaning some of that up. Advance the thread forward. Then we have to let the thread unwind. While the thread is unwinding, we can trim some of these out. We trapped some of the wing, which is not good. That'll work. Not the best, but that'll work. And we'll whip it, and we'll be done. A little emerger, green drake emerger. It's quite green. There's some build up here. Tail should have been longer. Okie dokie. So that was our cripple focus. Yeah, we didn't do a great job on that. Let's do our hair wing. We're gonna run into the same problem. Oh, they don't give the hackle. We don't have dyed olive hackle. Then the hook, it looks like an extended body, a longer hook They say it's a standard hook, but looks long. Looking long. Okay, start with the moose mane for the tail, moose body, yeah, moose body. So the moose body, there are shorter hairs combined with the longer hairs. I'm going to target the shorter hairs. Usually I'm using the long hairs to tie, but I kind of want to utilize those short. The shorts have better color. I have to be careful, so let's remove the underfur first. And then we will try to, take out the shorts. These are the ones I want. We'll save the longs for another pattern. The shorts have a little different coloration on the tips, which I think is nice. Let's eyeball the length. Try to even it out as best we can. There's one long, there we go, we got it. It's pretty good, there's a couple strays in there, but I think it's okay. And we'll tie that in. We'll tie that tail. We'll incorporate this into our body taper, so we'll travel the thread up, travel it back down, trim this off. And there's still some underfur. There we go. Yeah, brown floss for the rib. Brown floss for the rib. What are the chances that we have brown floss? Oh, brown floss. It's almost like a purpley floss. I've got a green. Let's tie in the rib first. Tying the rib. That ripped. Floss is a little bit difficult to manage sometimes. Tying that floss. I'm leaving this little gap for one wrap behind the floss. And then we will dub the body. This is a synthetic dubbing. Dub the body. Try to get a wrap behind the floss, behind the rib. Oh, we caught the hook. And then dub the rest of the body. And then dub our floss. You might have to spin the floss a bit to tighten it up. I don't want the wraps too close together. There we go. Maybe the rib is just aesthetic. I think you could just go with the dubbed body. Hair wing is the same wing we did for the emerger, but we're gonna tie it in a different direction. It looks like it goes over the hackle. So we'll tie in the hackle first, we'll wrap the hackle, and then we'll do the wing. Prep our hackle. Tie in the hackle. Wrap our hackle. 1, 2, 3. And then we'll do our wing. Clean that up. Stack it. And then it's going to tilt back like that. We'll trim the butts to make it more manageable. Oh, the wing is too long. Take a centimeter off. One wrap, 2 wraps, lots of tension. 3 wraps. The wing is still pretty long. But we're kind of past the point of no return. And whip it. this up a little bit here. Some people like that big bump. Okay. That looks okay. It'll work. It'll work. So that is a hair wing drake. We have our emerger and our hair wing. The colors are not uniform. Moving on, we have the Carnage. I've seen the Carnage on other lists. Extended body, parachute. Pretty straightforward. The hard part for me is going to be replicating the color. If you had a marker, an olive marker, that would work as well. I've never done like the CDC, extended body CDC. This will be interesting. This will be a first for me. Here we go. So you'll need some kind of, oh, and then the hackle as well. Like we're running, I should have bought some olive hackle. Anyway, a needle is best, but I'm gonna use this push pin. The push pin has a little knob on the end, so I'm going to take that off. You could try to flatten it out. I find it easier just to take it off. And then we'll start the needle in the vise. It's going to slip, so just be warned. You need a base to tie on. So I'm going to use open cell foam, closed cell foam, like the foam we use to tie our beetles and hoppers and ants. That's harder to use. I've had luck with chenille. The chenille breaks apart, but it's a decent base. It's not buoyant. I guess we'll go with the closed cell, since that's what I think is available right now. I'd have to search for the open cell. So we'll just go with the closed cell. Thin piece, real thin piece of closed cell foam. And then I'm gonna use the mono thread because it'll slip better, slide better off of the needle, because we're gonna have to push it off the needle. So we'll go with the mono thread 4mm fine mono thread that's made in China. Oh, this is a mess. Let's thread that in. You could use the body hair as a base to tie on. That would take some skills that I don't necessarily have. So we'll get our thread started. Leave this tag, don't cut that tag off. And then we'll do our this is the base, tying base. That's what's going to be inside holding everything together. And then on top of this, we'll do our hair, the moose body. These are the longs that we had in the other bunch. We'll take some out and we'll use that for the tail. Eyeball measure the tips. Looks okay. Travel our thread forward. Wrap the mono thread. Start traveling it back. The wraps don't have to be super tight. And then we'd come back. I'm gonna chop it, leaving some of the butts on there, with a spiral wrapped foam as the outer. But we're gonna try to do the CDC feather as the outer, because it's the only material I have that kind of matches the color. I might have a better match actually. Yeah, maybe this olive green is a better match. So we'll take our feather, tie it in tip first here. Oh no, yeah, I guess we have to do it wrapping back. We'll travel our thread to the base of the extended body. And get our hackle pliers. Wrap our CDC. Spin it up one. Wrap and spin. You want those long fibers to kind of get trapped in. It gives it a dubbing effect. Then we'll trap our stem. Don't cut the stem. Trim out the body. Taper would be nice. Sometimes you don't have the luxury. Okay. Now we will finger finish. Actually, you could use the tool. Just kind of add let's do it again. Okay. So when you use the tool, you have to draw it long, swing it around, but we keep losing it. But it's enough. Those are 2 single whips. I'll cinch it down. And then you're gonna work this off slow. Work it slowly off. There we go. We have a little gap between the foam and the feather, but not terrible, not visible from the bottom. This is our mono base thread. We're gonna tug on that till it doesn't give anymore. And then we'll trim that out. And we'll trim the rest of this out, but first we need to find a good hook. This is a good hook. Get rid of our needle. And short shank, wide gap is what you're looking for. An emerger style hook would work. A standard dry fly hook would work as well. A little thread base. I advise against tying it in, trying to maximize the length of the extended body, so you might be tempted to tie it in here. I would tie it more toward the middle. And then all the junk that we have remaining, you want to include that in the tie. The tie-in. Oh, our stem is kind of splitting. Our stem completely split. Uh-oh. What happened? We lost tension is what happened. Oh no. Yeah, CDC does not work for the extended body. Back to the beginning. Back to the beginning. Mono thread base. That's way too long. Tying material base. Hair segments for the tail. Well, if we did an appropriate color tail, we might not even need to wrap a material. So here is an olive deer hair. We could just use this for the entire extended body. I'm gonna cut out a generous chunk. Clean it up. We'll stack it. Try to get rid of the trash. We'll end up thinning out these butts if we can, or the tips if we can, because the tips essentially are the tail segments, and it's a lot, but we need it full. We need it to be full to cover the body. That's a loose wrap, and then 2 loose wraps, and then I'm gonna smush the material around, trying to get 360 coverage. Got it. Okay, then we'll gather the hair and then wrap our segments. Okay, tighten that down. Carefully cinch. Oh, come on. Try to finish. Give it a trim. I'm trimming out the tops and the bottoms. A little drop of super glue, tying it in would not have been a bad idea either. All right, we'll remove the extended butter, slow and steady. And tug on that mono tag till it stops. Good, good. Hopefully that doesn't fall apart on us. This is most certainly the least durable extended body technique. That thing's gonna fall apart pretty fast. However, maybe you only are looking for one fish. Back to our hook. Thread base. Stop in the middle. Extended body. There is a top and a bottom to this. I think this is the top, this is the bottom. Go ahead, tie it in. A drop of super glue here would be smart as well, before you tie this in. to prevent any kind of spin. Yep, there it goes. Let's do it. Let's do it. Small drop. Carefully place, tie it in. I've seen techniques where they thread the hook through the extended body. That's kind of cool. And once you think it's secure, we can start trimming this stuff out. Okay, we might have to add a little bit of dubbing to finish the thorax, but otherwise, looking good. Spin, no spin. Durability, weak. The post. Polypropylene. Color's okay. I'm going to mix a little bit of lighter color in with the darker green. Yeah, here it is. So we'll mix the dark and the light. Go ahead and separate. Separate. And then blend. More dark than light, so I'm going to remove some of the light. Then we'll put it right on top, right toward the middle. Gather it, wraps around the base. Nice sturdy parachute base is important. Travel your thread back down. More wraps around the base. Ooh, our deer hair body's already starting to show signs of weakness. Okay, we'll keep it long for now. Tying the hackle, dub the thorax, wrap the hackle, tie off the hackle. We'll do a maybe, yeah, we'll do a double hackle technique with this done. I like to start it on the hook and then travel it up the base. Some people start on the base. Or on the base of they tie it directly onto the base of the parachute. But I like to start here, nice and tight, and then reposition. Travel the thread up. Start tying the hackles up. And then reposition again. Dub the thorax. You could use a thicker dubbing. Maybe I will. This is like a thin synthetic. There's no need for this to be dainty. It's called the Carnage Green Drake. There's no need for that to be so dainty. Let's do something a little beefier. We'll do a dyed rabbit, which is not great for dry flies, but definitely gives it more character. And we want to stop the dubbing at the base, because then we'll travel the thread up the base and finish the fly on the base of the post. So we'll wrap our dubbing toward the front, coming back, coming back, coming back, coming back, and then close to the base. Let's reposition. The thread is now around the base of the post. 2 hackles. These are a little bit vertical. We'll take those out. 2 hackles. Parachute wrapped. Let's try to get one more wrap. And then we will trap the hackles, clip them off. One more securing wrap, and this has to be good, a good finish around the base, slow, more time. Slow. Oh, what are you doing to me, fly? Trim it out. Reposition. Trim the post. Let's pick this a little bit. And then we'll trim that down. Okay. This would be nicer if it were kind of curved up, give a little curvature. Obviously the hackle color is not matching very well. To me, this is more of a novelty than a practical pattern. Maybe if you had the right color foam, you could tie it fast, and it would be durable. The one we just tied will not be durable. Anyway, there it is. I'm gonna tie a green drake that I would actually fish. Yeah, we'll finish with that. Something that I would actually fish. Okay. What would I do? I would get a hook. And I think the moose, we had those extra moose mane tips, so we'll use those for our tail segments. But rather tying in a clump, I don't know how many segments an actual green drake has, but I would do minimal. I'm gonna do 4. That's probably too many. I like a thinner, I like a sparser tail but longer tail, if that makes any sense. That's good. And I'm going to wrap it. Quite a little bit too long. That's good. And then I will chop it. Body. You could do that CDC stem that we tried to do for the extended body. I think that would be nice. Oh, that's a thickie. That might be too thick. Let's try to get an uglier feather. This one's pretty ugly. I'll start more toward the back, draw it to the tip. Try that again. Trap it. pretty far up, as far as I can get it. Handle pliers. Spin and wrap. As far up as I can go. That's about good. Trap it and wrap it. Clean it up. Yeah. How's her tail looking? Looking okay. Got some strays up here. Wing. I would use a Calibit. This is called Calabatus color. You don't need the prettiest feathers for the wing, but 2 of them. Smaller mayflies, I just do 1. But this is a big one. So we'll do 2. And then I'm gonna tie them in, kind of sitting on their sides. I'm gonna measure, the tip should be even though. But I want them sitting on top, and then I'm gonna draw to about there. Then a couple wraps up front. A few wraps behind. Trim it out. A few more wraps in front. Travel the thread. I'm gonna play a little bit. This is also, I'm gonna use this lighter green mixed with the dark. I'm gonna use that lighter mixed with the dark as our hackle. And I want the fibers toward the butt are a little bit fluffy for my liking. So I'm going to target these fibers more toward the middle. I don't need all of them. We'll clip it. Trim it. Save those. Split my thread. Oh, that's not a very good split. I think it'll work. Insert the material. spin it up. Too much room toward, should have done the loop further up, the split further up, but I did not. Start wrapping, majority behind, 2, 3, come back up front. Build the head, let it unwind. Then we'll clean up the hackle. Yeah, the messing around with the color, a little bit of a failure. I want to keep some longs in there. I don't mind that. So just trimming with discretion. And a whip. Ooh. And if I were on the river, this is something, a pattern like this is what I'd reach for first. But the other ones are good too. Everyone has their own style. Let's review what we did today. Can you knit a carnation? No, it's a fishing broadcast. Yes. I was born in 1986. We started with, no, we didn't. We started with this one, our cripple, and then we did our hair wing, then we did the extended body, and then we finished with a just simple CDC. Those were our green drakes for the day. All right, see you next time.